Oh yeah, here we are. We're back. We're live. Welcome to the post-episode recaps. This is Game of Thrones Season 4, Episode 10, The Children, the season finale. Yes, that's right, the season finale of Game of Thrones Season 4. And it's been a really quick season. It's felt like it zipped right by, but tonight we got the conclusion of a lot of storylines that got built up this season, the introduction of a few more. It was a really fun season finale. Really great episode from beginning to end. High production value. I can't wait to talk about this. But if this is your first time here, you can please hit that subscribe button, and also please use the comment section below to tell us what you thought of this episode and what you think about any of the stuff we have to say. But with me, as always, is my co-host Joe Dirtylocks. How you doing tonight, Joe?
I'm doing very good, man. It's good to be here. That episode was fantastic. I couldn't.
Fantastic.
Yeah, really liked it.
I was kind of in a fog all weekend. This weekend we went to a convention, and then last night we had a couple of friends that were in town that were on vacation, so I drank a lot, and I was kind of in a zombie mode all day. But then when the episode came on, immediately my heart started beating. I started getting really invested. I saw that the episode was 105 minutes, but I'll tell you, the 105 minutes zipped by. It was the way the episode was paced with the storylines jumping from a lot of different places with a lot of excitement and a lot of. It seemed like even though there were a lot of storylines, it really could sink into a couple of the sections, like the Brienne and the Hound fight. That seemed like it lasted forever in the episode. And it was an awesome fight. It was like a they live kind of fight between the two of them. By the end, they were just.
It was crazy good. That's such a great fight.
Amazing. And the show's never really done anything directly like that. Brienne was going nuts, but we'll talk about that later. But it's funny, with everything that happened in the episodes, that's the first thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about that fight, because that fight was freaking awesome, seeing the two of them kick each other's ass.
It was crazy good.
What a way to go out for the Hound. Great. Beaten by a woman. Perfect. But before we get into the episode, of course, the headline of this episode is Tyrion finding Shay in Tywin's bed and shooting. Yes, that's right, with a bow and arrow. Bam! Shooting Tywin right near the balls. Maybe not in the balls, but close to the balls.
Did you think that was the big moment? I liked the Brienne moment better, the Arya moment better. That was my big moment.
Talking to someone right after the episode, their biggest moment was saying that it was Daenerys locking up the dragons, that was a real emotional moment that she couldn't believe, and her response was, "Those dragons are gonna be pissed."
Oh yeah, that was a pretty emotional moment. I'd almost raked some tears out of me, but I hadn't eaten all day, and I just got a cheeseburger delivered, so I had to force down the tears along with the cheeseburger. So
you weren't sure if it was the indigestion or the scene that was causing you a little bit of a clumpness. But let's get right into it, because this was an action-packed episode. And again, if you have anything to say along the way, please comment away and we'll try to get to your comments by the end of this show at the end. And if we don't get to you during the show, we'll definitely respond to the comments throughout the week. We want to extend this season of Game of Thrones as long as possible. It may have ended right now, but if we can keep talking about this episode and talking about this season, we can try to make the time between now and then not seem quite as long between when we're back. So tonight was an action-packed episode. Like we said, we had Bran. We had there was the Bran stuff tonight too that we have to get to. That was.
Can we forget about the Bran stuff? Can I just pretend the Bran stuff didn't happen? I was all set with this episode being so great without the Bran stuff, but what did you do?
Well, we'll get to that in a second here. I don't know if it was just briefly, but if you meant to do it, but your camera's currently off. Just to let you know, we start out with Jon walking through the snow to go see Mance Rayder, basically right where we left off in the last episode. Yeah, it was a good moment, and it was also a pretty. We got another good visual. I don't know if it was remnants from when they were shooting from last week, but we got a really great perspective of the other side of the wall. There was a couple of moments in this episode when we got that perspective, when Jon was taking the body out there and after the fact, and at this point when he's going to see Mance. It's visually, it was really beautiful stuff that was going on. So Jon's walking to see Mance, and he's going through the rubble. We see a few crows eating a fallen man, which as we've seen when we see birds or crows, it symbolizes the death, and we see them chirping away in a guy as Jon walks further through the fog. Some guys sneak up behind him, and he gives his hand.
I think that wasn't a guy. That was a giant. That was the other giant.
Oh, that was the other giant. But what was interesting here is Mance played dumb a little bit. He said, "Oh, you're wearing black. What's going on like that?" Like he could have acted like Jon, like he expected Jon to go in there pretending to still be on his side. I think he was just saying, "Oh, so you're in black, so you're not coming here trying to pretend like you were with the other force and you were one of the survivors or something." And he says, "I'm here to negotiate." And they go inside to talk. And this is where we get. It would have
been kind of hard to also float by with him just walking out of the tunnel like he did.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I feel like we haven't really got to know. I feel like I don't really know Mance Rayder that well. So seeing him, this was probably some of the most character development we've got from Mance since the beginning of season 3. We got some Mance tonight, especially to straight out start off. They start drinking. Mance says I guess he was wrong about him, and he kind of rubs it in about Ygritte getting killed, and he talks about her dying, asks him if he really loved her, and then he sits down and has a drink with him. They have a drink. They toast to the fallen comrade. And they take it in. Jon thinks it's going to be wine, but it's really booze, and he has the Roger Rabbit moment. That's some strong stuff. And then Mance tells him, speaking of Joe was saying about the giants, he says, "Your men killed one of the giants. This was a king. This was a man."
One of the giants got into the tunnel and never came out.
Right, and Jon says he's dead. And this was I thought this was a really awesome moment because Jon is cold calculating in this scene. I wouldn't want to play poker with Jon Snow in this scene. He just had so much the way he was just looking at Mance, playing him in the scene, and Mance is like, "Well, the giant's dead. That was a king. That was associated blah 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 with the first men.
The last of a 10,000-year-old bloodline or something like that. Older than children of the forest or something. Older than the first men or."
And Jon's response is, "Yeah, it killed my friend Gren. He was born on a farm."
Yeah, like it doesn't matter where he came from or what his line was. You know, he wasn't the only one that died. There's plenty more who died than just him.
Exactly. It's the nature of this beast that it's a war. It doesn't matter when. Exactly. It doesn't matter if you've been around for thousands of millions of years. If you're in a battle and you can die and you get killed, you're just as expendable as the everyday man that's fighting in this war. So Jon is surrounded by foes as Mance says, "Are you here to strike a bargain?" And Jon kind of starts talking the talk, trying to keep the ruse up that he has 1,000 men. And Mance is like, "No way. I know you don't have 1,000 men. You have like 50 left. We sent the toughest wave of soldiers we have. We killed like half your men. We have people warging into animals that can look in there and see you have 50 guys, dude. You overplayed your hand and we caught you in it." And Jon starts to kind of look to pull out a knife and go for a little quick stab, and one of Mance's men kind of approaches him. Mance says, "Stop." He goes,
"There's like 6 people in the room that all like draw down immediately."
Yeah, they all kind of pull out, and then Mance gives him the old, "Well, you can get to me, but then you're gonna die. But I guess you knew that already. Come on. I offered you peace. You're gonna be the guy that stabs a guy that offers you peace." Because his deal is, listen, you know and I know that the real problem is winter's coming, and we're about to get fucked here by the real dangers in the north. And we don't want to conquer. All we want to do is hide behind your giant magic wall. Could you please let us behind the giant? And to be completely honest, I kind of believe Mance because he knows the shit that's out there, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and I don't know if Jon would have tried to go with that deal because he kind of seems like he might be into allowing this, but right at the moment where we get to the point where we get to see what Jon's perspective of this would be, bump, 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 bump. We hear the horn. And who is it? Who could it be? We see lots of knights and soldiers. Who is it, Joe? Who could it be? It is none other than...
everybody's confused. Lance doesn't know. Jon doesn't know. Nobody knows. Everybody's like, huh?
Most of the people watching don't know. And I got to say, this is one of the things that they did really well this season by keeping Stannis out of... showing Stannis just enough. I got to give this season a lot of props for the way they set it up to the point where they mentioned this. If you paid close attention, you would know that they were heading to the north, and it would make perfect sense who this was. But he was an out of sight, out of mind, and he just shows up, and the horns blow, and it's Stannis, the true king of Westeros. Dun, 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 dun. The army rolls in. They overwhelm the wildlings. The horse riders, they're just real warriors. They come in, they start just killing everybody as Mance is surrounded. And a really funny kind of comedic moment happens at this point where Stannis and Davos get off their horses, and they start to walk towards where Jon and Mance are standing. And this crazy wildling that thinks he's going to end the whole thing by killing Stannis goes, blah, 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 I'm going to kill you, Tasmanian devil. And he goes to swing his axe, and then just one of Stannis' horsemen just zip by and just kill the guy. Just like, oh, dead. It played
before he could even notice.
Yeah. You almost expected there to be a little bit of a comedic sound effect at that point. Doing.
That would have been hilarious. I mean, just the sound of the armor alone was kind of a comedian's the sound effect he needed. The thrum thrum thrum.
I love that moment. I seriously laughed out loud. I was like, that's hilarious.
He was at full gallop too, which like
yeah,
riding for a while. Like, was he like not paying attention? He almost ran over the king, for Christ's sake.
He's like, fuck it, I'm coming after that guy. And that other crazy guy, I mean, did he really think he was going to be able to get to him right there? I mean, did he really think he was just going to end it all? He didn't know who he was messing with. So, speaking of not knowing who he's messing with, Davos gets into his whole, this is Stannis, you have to show him respect. And the army rolls in as they overwhelm them. And Mace is surrounded by the ruler, Stannis Baratheon. And he says, are you the king of the north? Are you the king beyond the wall? Excuse me, not the king of the north. The king beyond the wall. And Mance is like, who the fuck are you? I've never heard of you before. And he's like, I'm Stannis, king of Westeros. Well, who gives a crap? This isn't Westeros. You know, this ain't Westeros here. This ain't the Seven Kingdoms here, motherfucker. And Mance surrenders, but Stannis wants him to kneel before Zod.
His swords are down. He surrenders. He doesn't want anybody to die at all. He didn't want any of the wildlings to die. He didn't want... That's not what it's about to him.
That's why, Joe, I don't think there's any deception on Mance's part. I think Mance really just wants protection from the forces of the North. From the
wall. He said, death is coming for every single one of us. All we want to do is get beyond the wall. If you let us through that tunnel, nobody's going to get hurt, Jon Snow. That's what the deal was that he was offering Jon before that trumpet sounded. He just wanted through the wall. I won't kill any more people, any more black. I won't kill any more. No more war. Just let me through.
And honestly, that would be probably the smartest bet they could do because they need all the help they can get against those forces. It might have been a while, but we saw that army coming. We know what they look like, and they're dangerous. So yes, you're the king beyond the wall, and who are you? You're not in the Seven Kingdoms, blah, blah, blah. And Stannis says, as we said, he's not here to slaughter beaten dogs. Their fate depend on how you handle this, Mace. Kneel before Zod. And Stannis is... You gotta
believe there's a certain part of him that will kill every single wildling if you think about, the Onion Knight's fingers right there, just because, the King of the North beyond the wall there won't surrender. We really think that Stannis would do something like that?
Yeah, Stannis doesn't give a fuck. He probably doesn't even look at these people, these creatures as people. They're
wildlings. They're who we've been part of what they've been protecting this whole time.
Yeah, free folk, free to die by my hand because I'm the fucking king, bitch. I mean, that's how Stannis feels, really.
Balls, bitch.
Bitch, suck my Baratheon balls, bitch. But basically he wants them to bow here, but it's just a lead up so we can get our introduction with Jon Snow and Stannis here. And and he says, Jon Snow kind of approaches Stannis and kind of yells at him or comes at him a little bit, and Davos does this: "Don't talk to my king that way. Do you realize who this man is? Do you realize what he, what he supports? He's the king." And Jon goes, "No, I know. My father died to support him, and my father was Ned Stark. I am the bastard son of Winterfell, and yada yada yada." And he said, "Mance could have killed me or tortured me, but he kept me alive." And
I was this man's prisoner once. Yep.
And Mance asks him, Stannis asks him, "What do you think your father would do with this prisoner?" And he says,
"Well, he knows exactly what his father would do. He was there with him in season 1 when that guy ran away from the wall when he saw the others. The White Walkers. He just completely just vanished, ran away, got caught by Ned Stark's men, and he took all his sons up to show exactly what you do with him, and listened to his last words, then cut his head off."
Yep.
So yes, take him prisoner. Listen to what he has to say. But you didn't tell him part 2 of what Ned would do. Just part 1. Take him prisoner and listen to what he has to say. Part 2 is cut his fucking head off. He deserted the wall.
Yeah,
he used to be a crow.
Part 1 is get Jack Bauer in there. He's a friend of the family to do a little bit of torture and figure out what the man knows, and then chop his head off Ned Stark style. That's the way Jon Snow's gonna roll. Because Jon Snow, he is a little bit, I'm not going to say smarter, he's just seen the things that have happened over the few years. He's smart enough to know he shouldn't just chop the guy's head off. He should find out and listen to everything he knows first, and then chop his head off, then burn him.
Right. Torture him first, then kill him.
And Jon Snow has one last piece of advice to Stannis. He goes, "If my dad saw what I saw out here, you know what he would do? He would burn all the bodies before nightfall. I mean, all of them." And Stannis agrees. Even though what's funny to me is, and we'll get to it a little bit later when they're burning all the bodies later, Stannis has sort of a smug, like he doesn't believe in it kind of look, considering the things he's seen from the Lord of Light.
Would you believe in it?
The White Walker stuff? If I had seen all the stuff Melisandre has done...
You haven't seen any of it. And as far as you're concerned, you think that the Red Priestess is bullshit for the most part.
You think Stannis thinks she's bullshit?
Yeah, well, not that she's bullshit, but that none of it really matters to him as long as he gets what he wants. It's not that it's bullshit, but it's still just kind of it's still just another religion.
Fair enough. I guess I would think that he would understand that there are bigger forces out there because of some of the things that he's been able to see or some of the stories that he's heard. I mean, you got to think that even the stories of the dragons have made their way to Stannis at this point too. So he knows that stuff's out there, and just have the possibility to think that these crazy creatures could be real. But you're right, but I actually do think you're right. I think Stannis looks at it all as hooey. He goes, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's hooey. So not soldiers are better. As long as I have soldiers, all your silly magic and parlor tricks with the guy who has the men. I control the armies. I'm the man. I'm the rightful king. Or honor, yada yada." I think that's number one for Stannis. But you would also think that he has to somewhat buy into the shit that the Red Priestess can do. Look what she did to Renly, and he actually saw that. He saw the black smoke monster or whatever the hell that thing was. And
he didn't see.
He didn't see it?
No, 'cause he had sex with her, then she went on like a boat trip with the Onion Knight to some weird gate underneath at some port, and then she gave birth to it there, and then it traveled to the tent. And Stannis wasn't in the tent. That was just Brienne and Caitlyn.
And Marjorie was there too, I think.
Marjorie? No, maybe.
No, I think I'm pretty sure she was there because when Brienne talks to her later, they talk about how she knows that Brienne didn't kill Renly. Or no, you're right, she wasn't there because she was explaining to Marjorie how she didn't what actually happened.
Yeah, the only two that were there was just Caitlyn and
Catelyn and Brienne.
Right.
So after this scene, we go to Pycelle, and we can finally let through some of the people that made the comments from last week that all were, wonderful spoiler people that were mentioning that, or I can't even say if it was a spoiler or not. This is one of those fine lines, like, is it a spoiler or is it or not? Because you could notice it in the episode. Oberon poisoned the fuck out of all of his weapons, out of his spear. He made sure that the mountain wasn't surviving.
The reason why they call him the Red Viper Adorned, a poisonous snake adorned. And all his children are named like after poisonous snakes too. Like they hinted at it. They even when Arya was talking to the Hound about him not being he'll never be a great killer because he was getting on a poison being a woman's thing for killing Joffrey. Like they really played around it the whole time. So you should have seen that the mountain wasn't going to be doing well. But
and you could also see in the last episode, similar to the way you could see Lady Marjorie in the wedding episode with Joffrey earlier in the season. If you watch closely, you could see her grab the bead or do some sleight of hand. You could actually see the spear dripping of poison at points in the Mountain and Viper episode if you looked closely. When someone hands him the spear after the first one breaks, I believe you can see a little bit of poison.
Now I have to watch that over again because I never saw nothing like that. I watched it twice, but I didn't scrutinize whether or not I was looking for poison. So
I believe if you watch back now, you will see a little bit of poison. There is a momentary little subtle touch there. Maybe I'm making it up. I could be, but I thought I saw it. I'd have to watch it again too to make sure. But last time I was like, oh my god, there's poison right there. So it's Pycelle though, looking at the mountain being poisoned from the Viper. He gives him. He says it's time to give him the milk of the poppy, and Pycelle says there's no bringing the mountain back. But this other guy, forget this guy's name. If someone in the comment section can tell us, the guy that ended up saving, helping Jaime get the gold hand on and helped Cersei through some of her problems, the one that got kicked out for doing experiments on humans and stuff. He says he can help the mountain. He knows what he needs to do. That it's a very harsh kind of poison, but he's got something he can do. But it will change him. But he can make him back. And Cersei goes, you know what, get it done. Pycelle's like, wait a minute, you can't do it. This is horrible. This is why he got kicked out of the Maesters. He's not a Grand Maester. You can't do it. This is my office. Cersei goes, get the hell out of here.
My laboratory. Not anymore.
This was the happiest we've ever seen Cersei in this episode. She was on cloud freaking 9, dancing.
No, she wasn't happy. She's scared for her life. She's in like, I don't know. I don't think she's happy. I think she's not satisfied yet. There's a lot more than just simple happiness for her going on.
I agree. I agree with you, but I also think she's taking a moment from her madness for a second to have the elation of the fact that her little shit brother is going to die tomorrow, and she's dancing around a little bit on cloud 9 to the fact of what comes up later, like her having the balls to tell Tywin off. Coming up here in a second, she's feeling very high on the horse right now, and I think that's why she wants the mountain on her side, because she's like, if I have the mountain on my side, if he's alive and he's kicking ass, I'm unstoppable, because now I have the toughest guy in all the 7 kingdoms.
Right, yeah, that's right. The guy says, she asked the guy, will he lose strength if you keep him alive? Right. The guy says, no.
No, he'll just
no.
But will he be changed like Drago? Like Drago was changed?
I think Drago lost some strength.
Yeah, he did. Maybe. I mean, maybe he just lost mental strength.
That strength. I mean, if you can't walk, if you can't.
Yeah, we've all seen me try to catch a football.
Right.
We all know what happens when Mr. Uncoordinated here. You ever see the Goofy cartoons? That's me dealing with my lack of touch. So, but. Cersei is really excited here, and she kicks Pycelle. She hates Pycelle. But I think that's the one thing all the Lannister kids can agree on. The one thing that Tyrion and Cersei can agree on, at least, that they both hate the fuck out of Pycelle, and they're like, and she just can't. Is so happy to kick him the hell out of there. And she says, do what needs to be done, even though it will change him as long as Joe said, as long as he keeps his strength. So he starts the experiments, and it looks like similar experiments to what he probably did get kicked out on, but, you know, we need the mountain. So here we go into the scene we were just talking about with Tywin and Cersei. Now, she is arguing that she will not marry Loras, no way, and Tywin's just trying to break it down to her, listen, Jaime can't further the family line, you need to do it, you need to get married, Tyrion's going to die tomorrow, and she's like, no. Listen, no, I'm staying in King's Landing. And Tywin starts to tell her a story, one of the old Tywin stories. Back when I was young and I didn't take you off to somewhere. And Tywin, and she stops. She goes, I don't want to hear your stupid story, Tywin. I don't want to hear your old daddy, whatever kind of crap story. But you remember in Blackwater? You remember? I was gonna poison Tommen, and I was gonna kill. And now my daughter's off in Dorne. Joffrey's dead, and all I have is Tommen. And you're going to take him away. You're sending me off to marry Loras in Highgarden, and you and Marjorie are just going to take him and make him your little puppet toy. And where am I? I'm off with no sons, having to be married to a guy that would much rather be with my brother than me. And what am I going to do? I'm in a horrible.
There's nothing she can do.
Nothing she can do. And he's like, and she's just like, no, you're not going. He goes, you won't be the first woman that was married without.
So imagine the biggest favor in the world that Tyrion just did for his sister. I don't want to say it because we haven't gotten there. Oh, did you say you already said it, didn't you?
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did.
You opened it with it, so.
I did. I already opened it. I opened with it happening. But seriously, right? But in a sense, he did. Tyrion really indirectly at the end of this episode helped Cersei out because there was no way she was.
And kind of seal. I really, no matter what he said when he stood up on the toilet, that's kind of got to be. That's a lot of it's for show, but when it comes down to it, he can say no. You know, Tommen is going to give his uncle the option to go take the black and instead of dying. So what he says when he's on the toilet could have still been true, but you know, he was probably just trying to save his own skin.
I think at that point he was just trying to save his own skin. So at the end of all this, the big reveal to come here is she goes, you know what? It's time you know the truth. And he goes, what truth? And she goes, wow, you really never knew it. You really never even thought it. We were doing it.
You were really that blind.
Yeah, you're really that stupid. Come on, you know what was going on.
And I say bullshit. Of course he knew what was going on. Is he that I mean, he could be that self-absorbed where he is completely blind to absolutely everything that's going on around him. And that's why he really needs the help, you know, of like Varys and Littlefinger and stuff. It's tough running a kingdom, and it's tough keeping your finger on the pulse of every little detail in your family when you have to keep your eye on the detail of the entire kingdom.
This might be something that you
first a crazy king, and then for your crazy nephew king, and all that shit. So,
out of curiosity, I'm wondering if the relationship between Jaime and Cersei went to the next level, because I know they said they've been together since they were children, and that's gone on their whole life. Did it happen? Was it happening before the mother died? Once the mother died and Tyrion was born, like, would the mother have allowed this to happen too, or would she have been able to watch them? Is because Tywin was essentially an absentee father and wasn't there to keep an eye on this and kind of overlooked it. It's just a thought that I wonder if the mother hadn't died with Tyrion, if maybe she would have stopped this from ever happening.
Yeah, I get the feeling like Cersei was a messed up little girl long before the mother died, but.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. It could all come from that.
It's just an interesting thought that was going through my mind at the time to wonder how much, if it started before that, did the mother know? Would the mother have told Tywin? Like, I know Tywin's a delusional fuck, but still, whatever. It's just an interesting moment, and she just breaks it right down and tells him that that she's been in love with Jaime, and all her kids are Jaime's, and you need to know. And you know what? Tywin's having an awful Father's Day. This isn't a good day for Tywin. It's a bad Father's Day. So we go after this to Cersei and Jaime, and Jaime is like, "You won, one less brother," and she's being a little smug with it, and she says there's nothing she won't do for her family, and Jaime's like, "Well, Tyrion's your family," and she says, "No. He killed my mother. That wretched little beast killed my mother, and I can kill him now too." And Jaime I'm glad someone finally said this to her. Jaime calls her on her bullshit and goes, "You really blame Tyrion for that? You blame him for killing? He was an infant. He had no control over what happened." And she said, "Do you blame a sickness when it kills you? You just cut it out of you. You know, it's a
big difference. Big difference."
This is a big leap that she's making. This is the crazy. This is the crazy that you said, Joe. This is where she takes like a simple smoke. This is where crazy people live in this moment. They take the simplest little like thing like that and they turn it into this. It's Tyrion's fault. It's all Tyrion's fault.
It's every dwarf in the kingdom's fault.
Yeah, exactly. It's
They plotted to
everybody.
kill my mother.
Yep, they all killed my mother, Joe. They all killed my mother.
My
Horrible.
mother only exists in my nightmares because because you, Tyrion.
Yep, and she just gets right in Jamie's face. What do you decide? Who do you choose? Do you choose him? And she kisses him, and she said, "I told father everything about us,
She doesn't
Jamie."
just get right up into his face. She gets up into his mouth, into his
Yep.
crotch.
Jamie looks shocked, and
He
he's
was a little shocked because the last time they had any kind of, interaction in a closed room together, he was raping her next to her dead child.
I don't want to bring up I think again, it's that kid. I don't want to bring up. I don't want to talk about this again. But I think again, this was the one problem this season had with a misconception of how that scene was supposed. Again, I'm thinking that it wasn't supposed to be a rape. But whatever. I don't want to get into that because that's going to open up a whole can of worms we don't want to talk about. So, but more or less, she does a similar sort of thing that Jamie did before. She pushes herself on Jamie, and I mean, he's not saying no, but she pushes the issue in a similar way of like, no, we're gonna do this. Dad knows I don't care if anyone walks in. I told him I want to be with you. I want to love you. I'm staying here with you. I choose you. Let's do this thing for real. I don't care what anybody has to say. And Jamie, in fairness to Jamie, he's just asking questions like, "What exactly did you tell Dad?" He wants to know. He wants to know exactly what happened. He doesn't.
What exactly?
Yeah.
About us. Like, imagine his heart sinking right there. Oh, and he's just fine with that, with you staying and us playing house in the castle together. This is okay with him.
Yeah, you what do you mean exactly? What do you mean exactly when you say you told him? Is he okay with this? Did he threaten to murder me for having sex with his daughter or whatever? So they bang on the table basically. So here we go.
Someone might hear us.
Yep.
What if someone hears us? She
don't-
doesn't care at all. She's like, let the whole kingdom watch. Let them snicker. Let them laugh. Who cares? Just do me.
She needed it. She was happy. She was excited. She wanted to celebrate with her lover. Lannister, the other Lannisters weren't available. All the other cousins were out delivering wine or doing something. So here we go to Daenerys, and we hear from this slave. I think his name is Fanese or something.
This is that scene.
Yeah, he speaks the native tongue, and he talks about how back in the days when he was in slavery, he was a teacher that helped the children, helped other slaves learn how to speak, and had a lot of power, was in a good position for a slave. And he's there to beg her to allow him to sell himself back into slavery. Similar to the fact of, like you watch in prison, it's a real thing, but I'm associating it to television. You saw it in the Shawshank Redemption with Crooks, I think his name was, or something, and you see it in a lot of other prison.
Indentured servitude.
Yeah, they get so
institutionalized.
Institutionalized is the term, especially when you're dealing with seniors or people that have been in the system for so long that, as this guy was saying, freedom is a young man's game. I go to these places that you set up, these soup kitchens, and I get beat up, and the younger people take it. And she's like, I'll bring in the unsullied to handle business. Oh, no. I just want to sell myself back into slavery. I was happy in my gig. I'm getting older. I just want to live out my days doing what I do best, teaching. And Daenerys does what I think is some of the best governing she's done yet. She compromises, and she decides that what they're going to do is, yes, you can go into a work contract with these people for a maximum of 1 year, and it's sort of a work program. And Barristan kind of snickers to her that it's ultimately going to be the slavery system, but something she said in this speech made a lot of sense. She goes, well, I came into these cities to give everybody freedom, and that's freedom to choose. Whether that's freedom to choose being a slave or that's freedom to choose to be free, they should have the right to choose. And
right, but it's not exactly being sold back into servitude as much as it's he's making something from this. It's not just that he's going to be a slave again.
Right.
It's that he's getting room and board. I don't know, maybe it's only for a period of, it can only be for a period of a year, she says. So, I mean, it's not for and for forever kind of thing. It's strange. I don't.
It's a strange. I mean, it's an interesting way of creating a workers' union of sorts to allow the slaves to work for their former masters. It's a weird sort of setup, but I understand where these older guys are coming from. And he says there's like hundreds of other men or thousands of other men outside that will all be asking for the same thing. But it's hard. It's a really hard thing because obviously these men should have been freed long ago, but they also do have the right because, as Joe was saying, it's beneficial to them. They get room and board. They get to stay. This guy's worked his way up through the system. A lot of them, as he was saying, were all the older people that did a lot of like clerical work and not hard labor type things. So it's
why there's got to kind of have to be some sort of someone's going to have to think of something, how people get paid, what's good for what wages, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have had to like empty the banks for some of these slaves to get, you know, some sort of reparations, so to speak. You know, like it was really not well conceived. The thing that's been working for her is that she's been taking thousands of slaves with her out of each city as she's moved along. Now she's kind of stopped in this city with her army and with all these extra slaves, and now there are all these even more freed slaves, and now there are all these more free slaves in Meereen. Like it's really overcrowded at this point.
Yeah, and they're all looking to her for answers. It's a dangerous situation that she's putting herself into. And speaking of a dangerous situation, as someone approaches, this guy says he doesn't understand as they tell her to get closer. A guy's crying, and they start translating what he says. That something came from the sky, the blacked one, winged shadow came from the sky, and it burned.
Well, he's stuttering on the black one because he's crying so much. He's
crying so much. He doesn't understand.
Not holding a pile of goat bones this time.
Nope. And he drops it, and it is his daughter burned up. And this cuts right immediately to a scene where Dany's asking about the kid, and we find out that he was 3 years old. And she asks if she's seen the dragon, and no one's seen, or they've seen sight of him.
Last time, some sailors saw him like at the top of some mountain somewhere off the coast somewhere.
Yeah, he can't be caught.
It seemed like it was kind of far away, but nobody's quite sure where the hell the dragon. And that was 3 days ago, so he could be anywhere. How fast does a dragon fly?
And that dragon, it goes anywhere it wants to go. And she says, come to the catacombs, and she brings the other two dragons down there, and it looks like it's going to be an interesting setup, like she's bringing them down there maybe to train them or do something. And no, she brought them down there to chain them up, and she chains both of them up in a really heartbreaking scene that was played really well by the actress.
Oh yeah, the music that goes along with the scene. I'm sorry. For me, when these touching scenes happen in any show, it's not that the scene gets me. It's not usually the dialogue that gets me. It's usually there's this kind of silence, and you hear her walking. But once the music starts, that's when my like somewhere in the back of my throat and behind my eyes starts to like flutter, and the waterworks just start. And if it weren't for the damn cheeseburger I had been eating, they would have flowed.
And it gets so emotional. It gets like one of those puppy movies, like, or whichever dog movie is your movie that you whether it's K9, Turner and Hooch, Lassie, Old Yeller. You just get that moment where she's chaining them up, and she's walking out, and she's getting ready to close the doors on them on the catacombs, and they're both crying to her like, "Mommy, don't! Where are you going? Where are you going?" And they're
not quite Old Yeller, not unless she was going to kill him, but
no, but still, I just mean the sadness of the pet.
More
moment.
like Michael Vick dogs almost.
Oh, come on. That's bad. She's chaining them. She's treating those dragons horribly.
She's training them in a dungeon with all sorts of like I don't know what that food was on the ground. I couldn't quite make out what carcasses they were picking at, but
it was sad.
They looked pretty sad too. And their cries, oh my God, those cries! The sound effects to that was fantastic. They didn't sound like they were feeding or fighting. They sounded like they were wailing for their mom.
And they were pissed off. And I agree with you in the sense that ultimately she's leaving them down to bathe in their own filth and beat the crap out of each other and have nothing but like she's not going to really take care of them. I mean, she can't. She can't just go down there. Those dragons are going to snap. The other one already snapped at her, and those two are going to totally snap at her once that she isn't down there for a couple days.
You keep something for long enough, and it forgets who it loves and what it loves, and it becomes more even. I mean, we're talking about beasts, an animal to begin with, a wild dragon. I mean, how much more wild is it going to get? But you know, it already would kill every human if it weren't for Daenerys.
So we go back from here to saying goodbye to our lost knights. We get our Night's Watch speech about the fallen knights. We shall never see their ilk again, Joe. We should never see their ilk again. And this is when we get all the bodies being burned, and we see Stannis and Davos watching.
Wait. Did we miss Jon Snow going to see Rattlebone's shirt?
That comes right after here.
Oh no.
That comes right after. It's right after this scene.
Oh,
So
okay.
Stannis and Davos look with skepticism, and Jon watches his friends burn as he sees through the fire, makes kind of eye contact with Melisandre, and we get a little fire wipe with a fire fade with Melisandre and
power
Jon.
in that one. You know that's what she's thinking. Like she can feel the power in Jon Snow.
Ooh, there's power in King's blood. It's in there. I can smell it. She can smell that King's blood. She can smell it in there. Or not King's blood, or just powerful.
Well, there's royal blood in there somehow because there was a king of the north who was Jon's brother.
Exactly. There's this powerful.
The Starks were the kings and the kings before the Targaryens conquered Westeros, right?
Yep.
There's been a Stark in Winterfell for thousands of years or something.
Yeah, and they're connected to the First Men and all that sort of stuff. So from this point, this is when Jon goes.
Why they're warged or something.
Jon goes in to see Giant's Bane there, and he says, "Your blind man patched me up." And he wanted to know how he was going to die. And he just starts asking questions. How do you people up here kill people? How am I going to do? Put on the rack? Am I going to get my head cut off? Am I going to get hung? Like, he's excited about it. Like, how am I going to die? Oh, what's going on? Torture? You guys going to play with my nipples? It's like Mel Gibson in that South Park. What are you guys going to do? You're going to bend me over. You're going to fuck me. What are you going to do? And he's really excited. And this all ends up just in a lead of a conversation where he's like, did you really love her? And because Jon wants to know if there's any special. Jon's coming to see him to ask him if there's any special way to bury or special rites that you want to do to the gods to talk to the dead. Why?
They're dead. What the?
Yeah.
They don't hear nothing.
Yeah, they're dead. No, we don't have any words for the dead. They're dead. They don't hear anything. That was awesome. I love this character. I wanted more of this guy too.
They're still dead.
He's awesome, and he's been great in every scene he's in. I miss that we didn't get more wildling stuff. I
miss his rattle shirt, like his shirt, his bone armor. They kind of we saw him in that, and when we first met him, and we haven't really seen him in any of that since.
So after this, he basically asked Jon Snow to take her body beyond the wall and burn it on the other side of the wall, because she really did love him, and that was he wanted to know if Jon really loved her, and Jon's he didn't directly say it, but he basically just said it, and this guy says she really loved you, and he goes, really? How do you know that? Did she say that? And he goes, no, she said she wanted to kill you all the time, but that's how I
knew.
And Jon seems a little bit happy, and he asks him if he killed her, and he says no. And they have a sad moment, and then we do get a very sad scene. Another scene, two scenes back to back got me a little emotional. Him saying, I found this scene to be far more emotional than anything that happened last week. Him saying goodbye to her, burning her right there. This is some of the best acting he's done on the show.
Yeah, but I'm still like, this sealed it for me that he was definitely more in love with her than I ever felt he was, even in the book or previous to this. You know, I think he so he had some sort of connection with her. I just don't think he was actually in love with her because, you know, like Aemon Targaryen says, love is the death of duty, and duty didn't die here. So
that's fair. That's a fair assessment, but I don't think he's necessarily. I think to be a true warrior of the Night's Watch, that's true. And I know Jon took his oath, but I think in his heart he's he's something else. He's something more, and love is part of that honor. And I think he really did fall in love with her, at least on the show. I think we are in two completely different universes with the book and the show, and I think on the show there was real love there. At least
it's definitely a parallel universe to the book.
Speaking of love, here we go. Hodor. We get some Hodor. It's been a while, and we get Hodor and Jojen and Bran and company walking through the woods. Joe wants us to yada yada over this part. I think maybe he had some issues here. To be fair, what's coming up here was probably the hardest thing that the show's ever had to figure out a way to translate from what, and we don't talk too much about the books, to translate what's in the books to a visual medium. Because when you're dealing with magic type stuff and things like that, you deal with a lot of people's imagination. So
here we go. I would have rather seen them put the money into the creature or thing that is supposed to have brought Bran north from the Wall, and maybe introduced him shortly after Craster's Keep to bring him the rest of the way, than to have had this scene here at the mouth of the cave. I really didn't like it. I didn't think it didn't look great. It didn't feel great. That being said, it was still a good scene. I was still entertained. It just didn't feel like Game of Thrones. It had a very
it had a video game feel to it first.
Yeah, just watching that little children of the forest throw those
gambit cards,
fireballs, whatever the fuck they were. It looked bad.
To me, what it kind of looked like at times, and I still enjoyed the fuck out of the scene.
Me too. I did too.
But to me, what it looked like was a Gambit as a child fighting Zelda villains, like the Zelda skeleton guys that come out, were coming up and to fight, and they kept coming out like a gauntlet or something. They just kept popping out of the ground, and then she comes out and she's throwing what to me at first looked like she was throwing playing cards that had Gambit magic on it.
It was just weird. It was weird. I didn't feel like it didn't really fit to me at all how it was done. But
that's the toughest part, Joe, because ultimately, the universe that they've created on the show that everyone loves so much is that they've underplayed the magic aspects of it.
Right, and you tell everybody who's ever been told, you need to watch the show. It's not about fantasy. It's more about all this other stuff that goes on in the world.
The most fantasy
it's such a small part that gets destroyed with this one scene, and in such a bad way. And again, that being said, it was still a very entertaining scene, and it didn't destroy the episode for me. I just like the Jaime rape thing. Jaime raping Cersei. I'm gonna pretend it was different in my mind. That's all.
Right. It took you out, and that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's one of those scenes and one of those things that was going to be very difficult to bring from paper into a visual aspect, because when you're dealing with magic-y type things, you deal with a lot of people's imaginations. I thought they did pretty well with what they're doing, but they obviously it was an interesting transition that happened. So we get ultimately what happened here is Bran and Jojen and company, they're going through the snow, and they're like, we can't go any further, and they're like, oh, but we're already here. And they see a tree in the distance, which I thought this looked really beautiful when they see the tree and they're kind of going towards the tree.
Yeah, that tree was pretty cool. That was a really nice weirwood. Is that what they call it?
It was beautiful. We got a lot of puppy action too. We got to see the dire wolf walking around. It was cute.
Yeah.
And then suddenly these skeleton guys start popping up from the ground. And
I didn't even notice. My eyes were too glued on that tree. I didn't notice the wolf. I hadn't noticed the wolf at all. I was just looking at too many other things in these scenes to notice the wolf at all.
And the skeleton warriors come up and they start going crazy. And
well, they didn't just come up. It was a hand came out of the ground and grabs Jojen by the heel and stops him.
Right, and starts dragging him underneath, and then all these skeleton guys come up.
Very unexpected. It reminded me of the old Sinbad Voyages of the Seven Seas, the skeleton warriors. You know, the old just clay animation or stop photo animation, whatever it was. That old 40s, 50s, Jason and the Argonauts, whatever
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean when there's like the skeleton, the walking skeleton, in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, is it Part 4 or Part 3? Part 4,
Yeah.
that or
Or
Part
like
Three.
the Terminator skeleton, even like it.
So I know what you're saying there. So the skeletons come out and they start attacking them, and Jojen's sister's fighting them all off as Bran is watching it all happen, and one of them's coming at Bran, and the direwolf saves the day for him, and then Hodor's getting his ass kicked a little bit, but then Bran says enough of this, and excuse me, this was my favorite part of the scene. Again, he jumps in Hodor, and Hodor starts doing some Hulk smashing going on, smashing people. Hulk, Hodor smash, and Brandor starts kicking some ass. And but Jojen's in danger, and one of the skeleton guys picks up a dagger and starts stabbing Jojen in the gut as he screams to him, "Go, go, go!" And then right as
really fantastic watching Hodor go crazy, I got to tell you,
the
watching
Hulk
that guy, and like even the look he shoots Bran in the middle of it before Bran takes over, and like, huh, Hodor, like what do I do? Go kill him!
Yeah.
Help him!
Don't make me have to do this, Hodor. Do it. Come on, buddy. Do it.
You know, Bran, yeah. But and basically the look almost looked like he was asking Bran to like take over for a minute, like he didn't want to do it himself, or didn't know how to do it himself, couldn't do it himself. Even though he like kind of took a few steps forward, he just kind of froze too.
So Jojen is stabbed, and they're
Good riddance. I was so tired of two little sick boys getting dragged through the north. So that part of this scene I was okay with. You know, like, bye, Jojen, thank you, have a good night.
Yeah, was Jojen sick like that in the books?
Yeah, I believe he was.
So Jojen goes sleepy time, and right as he's about to die, this little girl comes out that looks like and starts throwing magic and knocking back some of the skeletons, and she goes, "Come with me." And they go to try to help Jojen, and she goes, "He's already dead, but you guys, if you want to survive."
Yeah. Either stay with him and die with him, or get your asses over here quick.
Yeah, and get into this cave. And so
she was a little girl. She looked like she was like 9 or 10 years old or something. Like she really did look like a small little girl.
And the sister puts Jojen out of his misery.
Green, like flowers or leaves in her hair.
Yep. And she makes sure she burns his body before they're leaving to make sure he doesn't turn, because you can see him start to turn, his eyes start to turn.
She didn't burn him. I thought she just like cut his throat or something. He was starting to die, but he wasn't quite dead yet.
The sister did, but then right after that, his eyes started to turn blue, and the little girl threw a fire.
Threw another fireball? Oh, okay.
To burn him up so he wouldn't turn into...
There were more skeletons like charging at them. I thought she threw that at them. So
no, she threw one at him too to burn him up.
Okay, good. Because I was hoping I was kind of thinking like, oh no, is he going to come? Are we going to see him again as a White Walker?
You're gonna say zombie, weren't you? We're at Walker stuff. You totally want to say a Walker, right? So
I did.
So as they walk underground beneath a tree, we see all the skeleton guys die because they can't live there. They ask who she is, and she says the first men called them the children, but they were there long before the first men, and said, "Come with me, he awaits you." Who is it? Is it Yogurt? Does Yogurt await them? Sorry.
Master Yogurt.
They have to go beneath the tree to find Master Yogurt here. As they walk beneath the tree, they see it is the three-eyed raven. And Bran goes, "Are you the three-eyed raven?" He says, "I've been many things, and you will see me as what I am now." And it's an old man sitting up there. And basically what comes out of this is he says that Jojen knew the whole time that he was going to die, and Bran didn't want anyone to die for him to get here, but all that's important is that he's there now.
And why? But why am I here now? To get what you have lost.
To get what you have lost, and he goes to walk again.
Yeah, he's so short-sighted. Like as far as like him being able to see, you know, he's so short. That's all his focus. I'm gonna get there, and I'm gonna get my legs back. Do
you think that was what was driving him the whole time? That he thought.
I think kind of that was at least the biggest part of his hope was that when he got there, he would get his legs back, because it all kind of started. These dreams kind of started happening to him that we know of after his legs got taken. So,
and
I
what comes what comes from all of this is he will never walk again, but he will fly. He'll fly. So
Spread
perhaps
your wings and fly, little Brandon.
yep. So Bran's gonna go into a bird or a bat or who knows what Bran's gonna become. We'll have to see. And this is the end of Bran for the episode. So we will see you next season when you look 30 when you look 30 years old. So here we go to what ultimately it's hard to say my favorite, but we were talking at the beginning of this episode, close to what my favorite whole setup was. And this is the Brienne and Pod leading into what comes from here. So we
I
have
love this. I love this. I love this. All the changes they made to whatever the two storylines that intersect here are fine with me. They culminate in what ends up being an amazing scene.
amazing, amazing scene.
I don't care how we ended up with that girl on the boat. We got there, and the way they took us was just as good as the books, as far as I was concerned. They did a great job with it.
So Podrick lost the horse.
It's a missed opportunity by George Martin.
Yeah, and I think honestly that I think in a couple of cases where they've made changes, I have a feeling that's exactly what they did. Where George is like, yeah, I'm sure they ask his permission or at least throw it by him before they completely change, because he is a writer on the show too, and he's an advisor of the show, so he probably has some pull in the sense of like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. You know, I'm sure he isn't a fan of every idea, and there's a couple of times where he's come out and said he wasn't a fan of things that they've done, but I don't think this is the case. So we go to Brienne and Pod, and Pod has lost the horses because he can't tie a figure 8 knot well enough, and that means he needs to carry out everything. And we get the vibe that
the horses ran away in the middle of the night, supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. And poor Podrick, he was going from being so good at his job, being Tyrion's guy, and doing that job so perfectly, and getting glorified by a
completely different kind of squire. One was more like an assistant to an assistant to a Hollywood type or something. The other one was,
yeah, he's like taking around. He's taking around like young Russell Crowe or something like that. He's just taking
personal assistant to Tyrion, but an actual squire to Brienne.
Excuse me, I meant to say young Robert Downey Jr. and I don't know why I said Russell Crowe. But young. It's like he's going from hanging out with young Robert Downey Jr. to now he's working with like a military guy that wants everything a very specific way and needs things this way, this way, this way. And Podrick's failing, and you got to feel bad for the guy. He does come in handy in a second here. He definitely does. His knowledge of the houses and who everybody is, because Brienne doesn't know dick. Brienne is awesome, and even more awesome I feel about her after the scene. But she doesn't, she's more than a little naive. So
to say the least.
To say the least. So she's walking around, just kind of checking out the area, and she sees in the distance a little girl training with a sword, and it is none other than Arya Stark. And I gotta admit, the lead up of this whole scene being something, and this is similar to when we had earlier in the year, being someone that, again, I'm not as familiar with the books as some people, having listened to them on tape and talked to a lot of people that have read the books and got a little bit into detail. But when you come to these moments where it's something completely different that you're seeing for the first time, like my heart started to race in this scene. I was like,
I gotta admit, mine was thumping out of my chest. The scene was great.
What is going to happen here? I was so dumbfounded of where they were going to take this scene exactly, and it fulfilled every desire I had. It was so awesome. So Brienne sees Arya Stark practicing, and she introduces herself very politely. Oh, morning. How are you? Nice sword. Are we close to the Bloody Gate? And Arya's like, yeah, about 10 more miles. And she asks Brienne if she's a knight, and she says no, but she's like, you know how to use the sword, don't you? And does it have a name? Yeah, we're both cunts. We name our swords. It's Oathkeeper. Oh, good name. Oh, this is Needle. Oh, that's a good name. And who taught you to fight? And Brienne says, my father. And Arya says, well, my father never taught me to fight. And Brienne says, well, I just kept fighting the boys, and they would always beat the crap out of me, so my dad finally said, you know what, if you're going to fight the boys, I might as well train you. And Arya was basically about to tell, well, my dad kind of did the same same thing. And but the Hound kind of starts walking out, and Podrick walk up, but at the same time,
Yeah.
to bump into each other.
Oh, I know you.
But Brienne initially introduces like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and the Hound's like, "What? Do you want something?" and that's when Podrick goes, "I know you. You're the Hound," and the Hound's like, "Oh yeah. So what of it? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your mother. I'm the Hound. Fuck your mother." And and this is when Brienne definitely the wheels start a cranking, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're Arya Stark. I swore an oath to your mother to save you, to protect you." And Arya, speaking of cold as a cucumber, she's just ice in this episode. "My mom's dead, so I guess you didn't do a good job protecting her." And she's like, and he's like, I said I'd bring you home, and she's like, "My mother's dead," and I brought a sacred vow.
It's it's like stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
"I'm here to pick you up after school, Arya. Oh, your mother's been in a horrible car accident.
Get in the car.
Come with me."
And the Hound steps up here and is just like, no. Well, you've got Lannister gold. I've worked for the Lannisters enough to know some Lannister gold.
That's a very fancy sword you're carrying there, sweetheart.
Like, I didn't get anything from Lannisters. And that's a fancy sword. Where'd you get that? Jaime Lannister. Oh, okay. And then Arya's like, "Why did you leave my mother? Why weren't you there to protect me?"
Why didn't you protect her? You swore an oath. You have your sword oath keeper.
Yeah, well, she told me to take Jaime Lannister, blah, 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 and Arya's like, just didn't want to hear that. And this is when the Hound starts to get into it with her and get into a little bit of a disagreement, like yelling like back and forth with Bran, like, "Watch out, don't fuck with me." And Arya's like interrupting it and being like, "Listen, why don't you just get the hell out of it? The Bloody Gate's 10 miles away. Get away from me." And I swore an oath. And Arya's like, "I don't give a fuck if you're swearing, and you're coming with me now." And the Hound has the greatest line. She's coming with you. Her mom's dead. Her brother's dead. Her aunt's dead. And she's coming with you. And you're taking her where? Where is she going to be safe, you dumb bitch?
All I can say too is, remember the first time we had people traveling through the Erie?
Mm-hmm.
It was extremely dangerous. Caitlyn and they got attacked, and then Tyrion got attacked again on the way out. They brought all the mountain men, who a majority of them did live, and brought weapons and stuff back to the mountain as well, the mountains. But now suddenly everybody's traveling nice and easy straight through the Erie. I thought that was a little strange. I thought it was strange in the books.
But you got to figure that.
But it wasn't in the books. Ha!
But you got to figure, because of the death of Liza, that they're probably keeping everything inside right now. They probably pulled their forces in to figure out what the hell's going on, rather than being able to police the area as much right now, because they're dealing with personal business, and because you're so insulated there that you can kind of go in and deal.
They're wild tribes.
But it's so insulated there. The Bloody Gate's so protective that you can kind of get away with being. It's not like the prison at The Walking Dead where it takes.
No, but once you're past the Bloody Gate, it's all mountain men and tribes. And
oh no, I hear you there.
Not just the cities and stuff. It's also like anywhere there's woods and mountains, people are going down.
Well, so this all leads up to the fact that the Hound walks over and looks at her sword and goes, "Oh wow, you have a Valyrian sword. I've always wanted a Valyrian sword." And
so she pulls it out.
Yep, and she says, "I'm going to take her to safety," and this is where we get, "Everyone's a dead pile of rubble. There's no safety now, you dumb bitch." But then, I mean, there's enough foreplay here. They pull out their swords, and we get into a knockdown, drag-out fight between Bran and the Hound.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really good.
This is maybe the single-handed, this rivals, a couple of episodes ago, we would say that the best fight single-handedly on the show was the Mountain and the Viper, as like a one-on-one fight. Maybe people would say Ned Stark with Jaime was the best one-on-one fight. But to me, this was the best one-on-one fight that they've done in the entire series.
Up until we get that very same moment that we always get in every fight almost ever, with the exception of Steven Seagal kicking someone's ass. And that's the I don't want to kill you, or I want to explain to you why I'm going to not kill you right this minute. Like I don't want to kill you, the Hound. No, just cut the fucker's head off. It's the Hound.
No, I hear you. But she isn't really the type of person that goes in. Oh, I guess she is. We've seen her in the past. That maybe was you're right. Maybe that was a little convenient that she didn't kill him right there so they could have that moment with him and Arya coming up. Because ultimately we have seen her indiscriminately kill opponents pretty quickly before. We've seen her take out foot soldier type guys or red shirts without even giving a fuck. She kept the Hound alive so he could have that scene with Arya. But it was worth it to have that scene with Arya because
sure.
It's a little convenient, and it was worth it for the kick-ass fight that, again, I will say right now, and I am one for hyperbole, but right now, that was one of my favorite fight scenes ever in a film or a television show. It rivals up there when Ralphie and Tony Soprano are getting into their big fight.
One of the best parts about that fight is she not only picks up that rock to use it, but she never puts it down until she's done.
And she Mike Tyson's his ear. She bites off his motherfucker's ear.
Right off. His charred ear, too. It wasn't even like his good ear. It was his already mangled ear.
He bit my ear. He bit both my ears. That echoed, but it was okay. If anything is gonna echo, it's gonna be Evander Holyfield. Yo, he bit my ear. He bit both my ears. I love that. But she totally Mike Tyson'd him. She bit the fucking ear off and spit it out. But the fight was a great fight, and it was going back and forth between the two of them. I'm not gonna play the fight, but it was freaking awesome. And they go back and forth and just kick each other's ass.
I just want to know what it is with the Hound that didn't he just get bit in the neck?
Yeah.
He must be, what the fuck is everybody biting me for? Oh my god.
His last two thoughts are probably, oh my god, a woman killed me, fuck Arya Stark. And the third one, why is everyone biting me? What's with the biting? Leave me alone. Poor guy. But she bites the ear, spits off, and then, like, the biggest thing is she goes crazy Roddy Piper on his face at the end of the fight, because it looks like it seriously goes back and forth. He gets her down at one point, and he's just kicking her in the crotch over and over again, and I almost expected him to start yelling, I'm kicking you in the cunt right now, bitch, right now. But it was almost within the scene it was happening, and then she just gets on top of him, and she just starts boom, 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 like going crazy on his face, and that was done deal. And he falls off a cliff or kind of rolls down a hill.
No, I think he like throws her off him, gets up, or they were standing when she was bashing his face, and then she boots him in the chest, or one last blow, and he goes right off the cliff.
Yeah, he goes right off the cliff.
It's a little foggy. My mouth was on the floor. I don't know exactly what I was seeing. I was in shock. The scene was fantastic. The fight scene was great. Everybody's going to watch that 100 times along with the Oberon Mountain fight scene. Definitely, yeah. What a great fight.
Some of the best scenes of the entire series, those two. And some of the best, I'd say the top three fight scenes would be, the Drago stuff was cool too, but it would be these two battles from this season, and then the Ned Stark versus Jaime Lannister fight from season 1. That still was, like, might be number 1. That was just an awesome fight.
No. It's either the Mountain in Oberon or this one. I'm done with that. Ned Stark and Jaime scene was okay, but it had just as much of a non-climax feel for me as it did for Jaime, because that guard jammed the spear through his leg. You know,
that guard fucked it all up. He really did. The guard saved Ned Stark's life. Is what he did right there. Oh, I'm pissing people off.
I don't know about that. I definitely don't know about that.
I'm kidding. I don't know. It's left for the imagination.
So it was so unclimactic that I can't give that fight scene one of the best fight scenes of the series. I just can't.
Fair enough. So after Brienne Mike Tyson's the Hound's ear and knocks him off the cliff and all that sort of stuff, she walks off, and as Joe said, she had a moment where she said she wasn't going to kill him, and I don't want to kill anybody, and she just goes off. And she meets back up with Pod as they're looking for Arya. We hear her.
Right. She starts screaming immediately for Arya, not for Podrick, which I thought was interesting. And you don't hear Podrick screaming for anybody at all. Not for Brienne, not for anybody. And when she finally meets up with Podrick, she's like, "Where's Arya? Where were you?" And he says, "Oh, I don't know where Arya went. I was I was watching you, not her, because I thought you might need me. Well, if you didn't think she needed you, what the hell is wrong with you? Because anybody that's fighting the mountain can always use an extra, like...
The Hound, but yeah, I know.
Spear, oh, sorry, the Hound could always use an extra spear to the back of the leg. You know?
So it's fair to say that the Clegane brothers gave us some of the best combat this season. Way to go, Hound and Mountain. I mean, we might never get our Mountain versus the Hound battle, but again, other than the brief little shot we got from a couple of seasons ago. But two of the best fights in 2 out of the last 3 episodes were from both these guys. So way to kick some ass, brothers. So Brienne's going nuts, going down the hill, screaming out Arya, Arya, and she yells at Podrick that Podrick didn't keep track of Arya, as Joe was saying, and this is where we see Arya kind of hiding on a rock, watching the whole situation.
Up on the peak, like blended in very well with the stone.
Yep.
She was well camouflaged. She hid very well from them.
And she walks down to where the Hound is, and he says, "You're still here," as he coughs some blood, and he looks down, and she says, "You're going to die." And he says, "Unless a Meister is around the corner, I'm pretty fucked right now."
What a little Macy Williams. What a great Maze Williams, whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah, she played the scene so cold. If we thought Jon Snow was cold earlier in the scene, she had the poker face from death in the scene. This was the Abe Vigoda, or the Godfather scene again, where you just have the guy, or the Tom Hagen, look to Abe Vigoda. You could see so
much emotion. You could see enjoyment. You could see hate. You could see. Oh, it was beautiful.
You could see sadness for what a couple of people have been suggesting in the comments, that she cared about him a little bit, and you definitely saw her play that in that moment, that she had care for the Hound as well.
Which is quite, well, I'm not.
I know you're not sold on that, but I felt like she was playing that emotion a little bit, that there was a little bit of "you've protected me."
I mean, everybody else thinks so, so I'll say okay.
Stick to your laurels, because I could play it. I could see it both ways. But do
you think she was? Here's the question: the Hound at this point goes into a speech, a little tirade, a little hate-filled speech, filled with stuff about, I should have raped your sister. I hated it. I killed the little butcher boy. He screamed and begged, "Kill me!"
Yeah, go on, girl.
I'm begging you to kill me. Why won't you kill me? When all this stuff. Do you think if he doesn't do that, honestly, she walks up and sees him in the condition that he's in, do you think that she's not gonna just leave him there to die, or do you think she would have, if he was just like, "Sorry, kid, I tried to get you home to your family, didn't work out, can you kill me?" You think she goes, "Yeah, sure, no problem," and kills him?
No, because I honestly do believe that whether she fell into a little bit of, what's that disorder when you fall in love with your
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. I think she had a little bit of that, but I think ultimately she was playing the Sawyer from Lost long game here. Like, she was playing the long con. I
don't think she necessarily even had that Stockholm syndrome. I think she's been a hostage to so many people at this point, to Tywin himself, to even to the guy from the Black Watch that originally abducts her from after her father dies. She doesn't have a choice as to where she goes or what she does. He brutally cuts her hair off in the alleyway. "You're not a smart boy, are you? You stupid little..."
"Yeah, boy, you fucking not a girl."
She's his prisoner. She's Tywin's prisoner. She's the Brotherhood's prisoner. She's the Hound's prisoner.
But to answer your question, I would say that it was always her plan to have him have the most torturous death she could possibly cause.
Right, and I think every step of the way that she's kind to him or nice to him is self-serving, because she knows that not only is he saying and actually doing what he says to take her to one of her family members to sell her back, but he's the frickin' Hound. Who's going to kill her while he's trying to get a ransom? Nobody. It's protection, a big bodyguard that she's eventually going to run through.
She's using him as a Project Shield, essentially.
She's a smart girl who was friends with Jaqen H'ghar long before she was friends with the Hound.
And also, I agree with you, because I think she's a smart con woman. I was saying this before. I think she's playing the long con here, and she was waiting for that opportunity. And I think maybe she would have stabbed him through the throat if that was more beneficial to her. But
right, if that was going to give her more right. If she was like, drag me to a Meister, get the horses and take me somewhere, she would have killed him instead.
Right.
But he was like, kill me, so she was like, screw you, and left him there.
Right, exactly. If he didn't want, she wasn't going to give him what he wanted, no matter what.
She found herself in the most perfect situation she could find herself in at that moment. She ran away from Brienne, not to escape from anything, but to maybe this was her moment to get away from the Hound. Also, no matter who won, but when Brienne won, it was her moment to go back and see the dead body. Did she expect to see him alive at all? No, she was going down to look at his dead body to get
get the gold
or whatever he had with him.
She was going for the gold. She was going for the gold, essentially.
Right.
She was going to get the gold and the silver. She wasn't going down there to check on his health.
But she didn't have any gold or silver with her in the next scene, so.
No, she did. She had gold. That's why she said to the boat guy.
She only had a little bit of silver. She only had a little bit of coin.
Right,
which she didn't have anything else.
What she stole from the Hound there, which she took a pouch out of him right before she left him. So he basically is just begging her to kill him. Like it's a really disgustingly funny scene in a weird way, but like morbid, and just played excellently by both actors. Because as Joe was saying, he starts mentioning all the horrible things he was doing and going, "Please kill me! Come on, kill me! I'm a horrible person. Kill me! I'm on your fucking list. You should go with Brienne. She might teach you to fight like a real person, not like a stupid dancer like you've always learned to fight."
Oh, well, and that's what he says. Oh, your big bitch won, and he says, who? Arya says, the woman up there? He says, no, your dancer, your water dancer from Bravos, that bitch. He's saying that's the one that won because she would manage to escape from both of them at that point, I think. Again, my jaw was on the floor, so I couldn't really make out too much of what was going on. It was what he said at that point when she first walked up, but it was nice.
Yeah, and Arya,
it was nice.
And Arya just has cold eyes the whole time. Just
yeah, death stare. There's definitely crazy eyes, like just cold death behind her that stare, that gaze. It was wonderful.
Similar to the way Tony Soprano's looking at Christopher Moltisanti. Spoiler alert for The Sopranos. When he just strangles him there, like just that cold death look in the eyes there, and just do it. And the Hound almost is crying, and he looks upset, and she just grabs the little pouch in his pocket and walks off as you can hear him screaming in the distance, "Kill me, bye!" And here we go with about 10-15 minutes left in the episode.
Oh, wait.
Yes?
That's all.
Okay, that's it. So Joe just needs to say goodbye to that scene right there, because that was pure awesomeness, really. We could keep talking about that scene over and over again about all the
which we're definitely gonna end up talking about that over and over again.
Exactly. There'll be more. We're gonna do more podcasts in the summer where we'll definitely go into that scene a little bit in depth about how it's different from the books and stuff like that. So we go to Tyrion, and Tyrion is not ready. And Tyrion, they knock on the door, and Tyrion thinks it's the door coming to take him to death. And Tyrion said he's not ready. You son of a motherless, you son of a whore, or something like that. But no, it's not someone to kill him. It is Jaime. And Jaime says, "Listen, you shouldn't talk about your mother like that." And it's Jaime all comedically. He's not laid. He's in buddy cop mode, and he's like, really, "Hey, come on, Varys has got a ship."
Yeah, who's helping you? You couldn't be doing this alone. Who's helping you?
Varys is helping him, of course. The spider is finally getting building his web a little bit more, and he's getting Tyrion out of there because
I think they cut a little bit out of here for time. I'm sure they probably filmed it because the episode ran long to begin with. But
you mean Jaime coming to Varys and asking him for help?
Yeah, and not just that, but the also Varys leading him to the first detour.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I feel like we maybe should have had a scene with Jaime and Varys earlier, but I think you're right. I think they were pressed for time a little bit, and there's probably some stuff that got cut.
They should have made. They could have made not last episode, because last episode, of course, was all just the wall. And I want to retract, because of the way the start of this episode went, when Stannis showed up, which was visually just amazing, all those horses flying into the woods from both sides.
Do you think they should have done it last episode? Do you think they should have had that happen at the end of last episode?
No, I'm going to say that I retract what I said about having last episode should have happened, so many weeks or episodes before, because it really did need to start on that note, I think. That cavalry charge was just amazing, and it really set just this steamroller mood throughout this whole episode. Even the weaker scenes, in my mind, the Jaime Cersei scene and Cersei Tywin scene and the Bran
stuff, yeah.
Even those were steamroll, like those were just powerful, quick rolling, jaw on the floor kind of scenes, and it started off with the Stannis scene, and I thought that was, because of last week's battle was fresh on our mind and how amazing that was, that it fit together much better than like I said, I'm not the editor and producer, and there's a reason why, because they do an excellent job, and it's like what we're doing here when it really comes down to it is we're talking about like what flavor of awesome tasty ice cream. It's like, this is really awesome. This is like ice cream that was, it was really good, but it wasn't quite as awesome as the other awesome tasty ice cream. So it's not like we're being like, oh, this is shit. I don't think the series has ever done a this is shit moment yet. There's not one thing that I can think of to be like, oh, I really think this was crap. And it's just my weakest moment of the entire, I was the mountain slaughtering innocent slaves or whatever slaves in the courtyard, and it was replaced by this Bran scene. So, those were my two weakest moments, and even those, they weren't bad. And the Mountain redeemed himself with that fight with Oberon for whatever I thought about. Every time I've been like, this was I end up saying it's they do a great job. Perfect.
Yeah, it's good that there's smarter people than us running the show. It's basically what it comes down to. Right. So as they run through, they run out the locked door. He tells them that Varys has a ship waiting for him, and they're going to get him out of there. And they run down and they run past the locked door, and Jaime and Tyrion have a very tearful hug, a really good emotional moment goodbye. And I'm going to put a hold on this to say we're going to talk about this at a later date in a book club type podcast. But there's a big difference here between something that happens in the books. For those of you who haven't read the books, I'm not going to get into it too much, but
they depart on different terms, but it ultimately can be debated as to whether or not both parties feel like they're actually leaving on those uncomfortable terms.
Exactly. So. But there is a little bit of a difference here that you might start to hear with some of the people being like, oh, this was different.
Boys will be boys, brothers will be brothers, and in the end of it, I think that they do such a great job making everything where it's supposed to be, in spite of...
We were talking about this before the show, and ultimately everything gets where it's supposed to be. It gets there a little bit differently, and I think this is no better or worse. I just think it's a different take, and it's all set up because Jaime was there. I mean, we talked about this in an early part of the season in the preempt. The fact of the timing when they had Jaime show up at King's Landing, and the fact he was there for Joffrey's murder, creates they needed to change things up a lot and make it a completely different.
Right, that puts the relief. He sees how things unfolded with his own eyes, having been there at the wedding, that we don't need to have that same kind of departure scene that we have in the books.
Exactly. So again, this turns out to be a really awesome goodbye between two brothers, and I honestly hope that at some point in the series they have a reunion and they meet up again, because they are awesome together, and I'm glad in this last part of this season we got more scenes with Jaime and Tyrion together, because the actors work so well with each other that it's so fun to watch scenes with Tyrion and Jaime. So as they say goodbye, Tyrion goes to escape, but he can't quite go. He seems to feel like he has some unfinished business here. I think what he wants to do is he wants to go and talk to Tywin and just let Tywin know, how the hell could you let me get in this position? Were you really going to kill me? I think his initial impression...
Right, he just kind of, all of a sudden, Jaime's gone, and Tyrion's alone, In spite of Jaime saying, I got Varys to help you, now Tyrion's wandering through the hallways or the passageways alone, and we don't really know where he's going, but he seems to know where he's going, and it doesn't seem to be like he's trying to get out.
No, and we already know, again, to connect from before, him at the time that he was Hand of the King, there is a scene where he's being shown the passageways and being like, this is a way to get here and here and here. I believe there's a scene set up way earlier, so we know that Tyrion knows his way around
He's
these.
Familiar. He knows that these passageways kind of exist,
Yeah.
and he's smart, and he knows the basic layouts of King's Landing and the Red Keep and the dungeon area and all that. He's a smart man.
So he walks into the room that his father's bedroom, and that's ending up where he is, and he approaches the bed, and we see a figure on the bed, and it's a female figure, and he approaches a little closer, and we finally get the visual. It is none other than
Tywin. Well, we hear it first. Tywin.
No, we hear my lion. Lion.
He says Tywin first, and then we hear my lion as she looks up to see him.
Yet to see Tyrion standing there. And this was a little bit different in the book, but they did do a shout out to the book people in the sense she wasn't laying there naked with the Hand of the King on her, but they showed the Hand of the King on the night table, essentially.
On the night table, right. It was the pin, not the chain.
Right.
But she did have some sort of gold rope wrapped around her neck to start. So
that was a little bit of a shout out to the readers, just to be in the similar to the Cersei with your face isn't as bad as reported kind of thing. They just wanted you to know that they knew that they were changing it. It's one of those things that's like a wink to the readers to be like, we're changing things a little bit because the actress didn't want to be naked forever, or like whatever reason. So they set up the scene, and then she takes the initiative. Again, this is a little different if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, she just grabs that knife next to the bed.
Grabs the knife and charges at Tyrion, and Tyrion overpowers her and knocks her down, and then just ends up grabbing the little rope thing, the little Hand of the King thing, and choking her out as he lays down and chokes her out.
Falls off the end of the bed and chokes her neck off the side of the bed while her body flops around on the mattress, and the life is squeezed out of her.
And I think most people that were watching that said, fucking deserve that. That was so like, yes. But
come on, does anybody who's been white fanged deserve it when they if you get white fanged, you turn around and you bite the hand that is trying to beat you and push you away because you don't understand, and it hurts. So that's what she did. He white fanged her. And she turned around and said, "You bastard, I'm just a whore, huh? Well, I'll show you just a whore," and then went and put him in jail, or put him to death, and then went and fucked Daddy. What else do you do? Fuck him.
But if every scenario that you said was led up to that, and you get to that point, and then you find her in bed with your daddy because you get out because your brother let you out, and you walk into that room and she's sitting there in bed, and she charges at you with a knife.
Oh yeah, you don't have any understanding. This is all through crystal clear eyes of the viewer. Oh no, you choked the bitch out off the edge of the bed with the chain around the edge of the bed.
That's what you do.
Yeah, and it was self-defense a little bit. Like she grabbed the knife and went to attack him. So yeah,
we can't make Dink the villain. They never will make Dink the villain in the show. So he chokes her out, and then he looks up at the wall in a very Pulp Fiction type moment, like Bruce Willis looking to kill Zed. There, he's looking around the room for the weapons, the chainsaw and a ninja sword, and he grabs the crossbow and he starts to walk.
Right, the Joffrey's favorite weapon.
Yeah, the Joffrey weapon, exactly. And he walks to the back office, the bathroom, to where Tywin's there. And he kicks open.
You didn't hear any of the struggle or fight going on.
He was taking a dump.
He stays well in that chamber.
Yeah, when you're in the privy, you don't quite. Maybe he was listening to some music on he had his little iPod.
The toilet iPod.
Yeah, he had this Tywin iPod. Who knows?
He was watching Game of Thrones on his iPhone.
Yeah, he was seeing what was going to happen to him. He was fast forwarding. When does this happen? Get me the Game of Thrones DVD series.
Yeah, I know.
Another Spaceballs thing.
Yeah.
But so he grabs a knife or whatever. So he walks in there with the crossbow, and Tywin's sitting there in the toilet taking a shit, and he's just calm. And when Tyrion,
oh well, who let you out? Well,
hey,
must have been your brother. Forget I even asked that. Of course it was your brother.
Yeah, and Tyrion's like, listen, Daddy, I loved her. Loved who? Shay. Shay? Tyrion, this is what's wrong with you, buddy. This is
And
why
she
you're
was
an
just a whore, dude.
Come on, Tyrion. Think about it. She's just a whore. Again, this was a little bit of a Tony Soprano moment. She's just a whore, Tony. What
Right,
the
say it again, Dad. Say it again.
She's just a dirty whore, Tony.
So
And
then he wants to go out into the bedroom. Let's talk about this. Just let
yeah,
me
let's
get
go.
up off the toilet and approach you.
Yeah, I
Four
don't
times your size.
listen. I'm an honorable man. You don't want to talk to me on the toilet. Do you really think I'd let you die? I never was my intention to let you die. You were gonna live this whole time. Trust me.
Right. He just starts selling that slick tongue, that gold tongue of his.
He starts singing the Saddam Hussein song from the South Park. I can change, I'm a change.
Yeah.
I know I was an evil little bastard. He
I would
starts,
notice the shit in gold now, I'm sure.
and Tyrion basically says to him, "Call her whore one more time, and you're dead. I'm gonna shoot you." And Tywin goes, "Okay, okay. You're not gonna shoot me. You're not gonna shoot my
What,
father.
are you going to kill your daddy while he's on the privy?
You're a Lannister. I would never hurt you. You were never gonna die. You're a Lannister." And then somehow I forget exactly how he says it, but he basically calls her a whore again, or no, because Tyrion says,
He says, let's go out to the bedroom and talk about this. Let's go out to the chambers and we'll talk about this. You'll understand. Trust me, son. Don't worry about it. Let's go. And he says, I can't go out there. Why? Because she's out there. Who? Shay. Oh, that's all right. Who cares she's out there? But she's dead and I can't go out there. Oh, you killed her? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter? Like, she says it doesn't matter that she's dead.
I think
He's telling her that he loves her and that he killed her, but it doesn't matter that he's dead, that she's dead, that you killed her. None of that matters, son. And he's supremely offended by that. And he asks him, what do you mean it doesn't matter? And this is when he says it the second time.
Yeah, he says it doesn't matter if a dumb whore dies or something to that effect.
He doesn't even hesitate. As soon as the word whore comes out of his mouth, he pulls the trigger and shoots him. But I told you not to say it again. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And then Tywin goes, "You shot me?" Like he was so shocked about, "You shot me?" And then he goes, "Yep, and I'm going to do it again, motherfucker."
Calmly and coolly, he loads the bow again. He doesn't rush to do it. He takes his time. He grabs the thing. He cocks it back. He folds it. He puts the bolt in, and then he just calmly aims it again. As Tywin's like, "What the? Really? You shot me? You shot your dad while I was shitting? What?"
I know. Do you think Tywin at any point in time thought that Tyrion would actually do that?
I never thought he had the balls to do it. And in spite of him being the actual hero of the Blackwater, Tywin never believes it, never believes the actions that he took that day. And when Varys says it in this trial, sadly, Tyrion, I remember everything. He was saying just exactly that. I remember you were the hero, that you had the kingdom out. You were out for the kingdom, not for yourself, not for anything but the kingdom. And he remembers that. And that's why he was there to save him, to free him with Jaime. He knows he's a good guy.
And I really liked also the fact that Tyrion sort of called him out, or that he said to Tyrion, and I believe that he believes what he said. Tyrion goes, "You always wanted me to die. You wanted me to die my whole life." And Tywin goes, "But you haven't, and you stayed alive." And some part of me respects that. And that was the one thing that Tywin said that I kind of believe him. I believe that he respects the fact that Tyrion has this like ability to.
Yes. I think there's more than just that. I think as much as he hates his son, and he even says it as he's about to die, you're no Lannister. And Tyrion says, yes, I am. I am a Lannister, and shoots him with that second arrow. I think that in spite of everything, in spite of all the rumors that book readers have about anything, and in spite of it all, there's more respect than just that Tyrion has for his dwarf son. He knows it's his smartest of his children. He's the smartest of his children. He knows that he's not got the biggest balls of all his children. Like, I really think that there's more than just that he respects him for. He just, like his daughter, cannot get over the fact that he killed his mother, and it was a disappointment from birth as far as like what he looked like and any other rumors or whatever.
Absolutely. So after this point, after he kills him, he runs out and he meets up with Varys, and Varys is
Well,
like,
Varys is like knows immediately that something happened, something's wrong.
Sorry.
"What the hell's up?"
What
And
did you do?
what did you do? And he puts him in a little box on a cargo ship, and then Varys looks at here's
The same box. Remember, remember when he showed Tyrion the creature that he had in the box, the captain with the guy that mutilated him when he was a boy, the sorcerer. He had that dude. Like, he puts him in the exact same kind of box that Tyrion saw him have another guy in, which I thought was kind of creepy, but.
So he puts the dick in the box. I mean, he puts Tyrion in the box, and Tyrion is in the box, and Varys looks around. He looks left, he looks right. Here's the alarm sounding, and he goes, "You know what? I should get the fuck out of here too." And
Yeah. He looks up, giving King's Landing one last look. The Red Keep, like it's completely dark. There's no fires lit. There's no windows shining or nothing. It's the middle of the night.
And he gets the hell out of here. And I actually thought this was going to be the last scene of the episode, but nope. We end up getting to a waterfall.
I did too. I thought it was definitely going to be the last scene too.
But no, we actually get we get two back-to-back positive things happening here at the end, as we see a waterfall and we see Arya riding towards the water in the ships, and she goes to the wall, goes to the ship, asks to see the captain, and the captain says she asks to be taken to the wall. She wants to be sailed north to the wall, and she's got money that she can pay. And he goes, I'm not interested in your money. We're heading home to the free city of Bravos.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, he says we're heading to the free cities of Bravos, and she goes, "Okay, I'll go to Bravos. Can I get a room? Can I get a cabin? I'll sleep on the ship. I don't care." And he goes, "No." So she pulls out the coin that she got, and she gives him the coin and says, "Vala Morgoris," or whatever it was. I'm sorry. Yeah, considering how bad I mispronounce things, I think I did that pretty well. And he says, "Of course you have a cabin," and she starts setting sail to Bravos as she walks to the front of the ship, and we have a little Arya Titanic moment where she's at the front of the ship putting her arms out like, "Oh, Jack." As she's sailing through the free cities of Bravos, as the music, the Game of Thrones...
Don't forget the response, the Vala Dohaeris response that the captain gives her.
What's he say?
Vala Dohaeris. It's like,
Okay.
all men must die, and then I forget the response. I don't know what they mean. Like, I always forget.
Well, some will definitely correct us in the comment section later. But everybody, so that's how our episode ends. We get the music coming up from underneath, and bam, there we go. That is our Game of Thrones Season 4. It is over. So let's get to some comments and questions of the people that are listening right now. I'd like to thank you guys all. So here we go. Let's read some of the questions that we have. Oh golly, 71. Thank you guys. Holy shit. So
are you serious, dude?
yes. So from Vulgarian Terror Corpse, Varys hears the bells signaling the death of the Hand of the King. That's why he knew shit was about to go down and he bailed.
Yeah, of course. He took off right away. Like, he looked back. It looked like he was starting to walk back, not just to walk back and take one last look. It looked like he was about to go back to his quarters, and then was like, "Nah, I'm out of here."
Yeah, I'm done. Sorry, I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge City here. Let me mute this for a second because I'm about to get some volume. Mute. There you go. There we go. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second to get to some more questions, but that is true. Oh, here we go. There we go. Let me go up. Go up. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Oh my gosh, I've been watching World Cup all day, and now the cherry on the cake, the best episode of the year. Really was the best episode of the year, I think, all in all. And that's from Renwood. I think I understand why they submitted this episode for the Oscar stuff, or for the Academy Awards, because it was so perfectly put together from beginning to end. I know Joe didn't really like
Academy Awards?
Or for the Emmys. Excuse me.
Okay, I was going to say, you said Oscars and then Academy Awards. I think it's the same thing, and then I'm like, really? I thought that was just movies.
Yeah,
I don't pay attention to any of those kind of awards. So
I don't either so much. I mean, I watch the award shows. Maybe we'll do some
live. Politics. It's all politics, man.
Machine says, disappointed in one key omission in and the Stannis save, I feel, should have ended last week's episode or near the end of this one. I hear you. Like,
Yeah, give us a long episode last week.
Both weeks. Was Ygritte Mance's... What's the correct pronunciation of Ygritte?
Ygritte's fine.
Ygritte, okay. From Jake Bainbridge. Was Ygritte Mance's daughter? No. Not as far as I know.
No, she was nobody's daughter. Nobody that we know of. Not the redhead Rattleshirt or Mance. Anyone.
From DFan004. So no lady something. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyone else think that there's...
What was that?
Someone asked a question, why no lady stone something? I don't know.
Right. No, that's a spoiler.
That's a spoiler. That's a character I think may be introduced later on, if they introduce it at all. But no. So no. Anyone else think they show way too much on when they do the previously on Game of Thrones at the beginning of every episode? Yes. I absolutely think they do that, and I think they're very convenient. I think all shows do that. And I think all shows show too much in previews than they compared to what they used to do in situations like that.
Well, so I mean, a show like Game of Thrones, you don't really have to have too many previews for to begin with. People are just so excited to have it. You could just be like, Game of Thrones, wait for it, bitches.
Qyborn is his name, or Qborn or something like
Cleghorn, Foghorn, Cleghorn.
Is the name of the that other Meister. I hate the incest sex scenes. It's super creepy.
Come on, it's love, all right? It's love. Let them be. They're adults. They can make their own decisions. Forget about your laws of society and the laws that bind you.
It's puritanical.
Your puritanical views.
And the last couple of comments were from Lance Eagle 1 and Vulgarian Corpse and Steve 82009. Thank you. I hate incest scenes. They're super creepy. The biggest moment of the season they left out, so disappointing. Not sure what you're talking about, but you can put in the comment section. We'll figure that out. Tywin was well aware of the rumors. He mentioned it to Marjorie's grandmother. Yes, Tywin was. I think Tywin plays dummy the dunce to his advantage.
I think that okay, the not sure what he's talking about, I think is the same spoiler that the other guy was talking about.
Okay. Of not having a character introduced that hope to be introduced. Okay, so no, Elena brought it up and Tywin said he wouldn't breathe life into a rumor talking about it, so that was handled in the comment or some shit like that. He was in complete denial, says Steve82009. Angus Tin, first live review I'm watching. Hi guys. Thank you, Angus Tin, for tuning in live. We appreciate everyone coming in live.
Absolutely.
Steve8209 says, yes, this is my first live review too. Usually I wait till the day after because I have to wake up early, but this works. It's good to hear people's thoughts. Yeah, it makes it more fun listening to it with being able to share it with a bunch of people. Do you guys think that Drogon could possibly be the dragon shadow that Bran saw in his vision earlier in the season? That's very interesting.
Maybe he'll make an appearance in Westeros just to scare the shit out of a bunch of people in King's Landing. That would be fantastic. I haven't seen. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yep. We have a couple people that said that they've read the books and won't spoil things with that. So, wow, just finished the episode. What a great finale, says Akon D. Thank you. I agree. It was an awesome finale. I think one of the best, definitely the best season finale that they've had ever.
One of the better episodes too. There was a lot of good action in this episode. Like you said, great fight scene. You know, good stuff. Great emotional scenes with Daenerys and with Arya.
Renwood says, talking about Bran and leaving off the person from the books, has there been the most detrimental to the plot of any character in the show? Talking about Bran, yes. Yes, I know what you're talking about, and we will talk about that in the book club, but yes.
Yes, that character that they leave out was really great. Was great. Like, I loved reading about him.
That's the biggest omission from the show, but more than the guy that they skipped out with Dany, more than a couple other characters that they left out, leaving that character out. And someone said Black Hands. They think the character's name was Cold Hands. I don't think that's spoiling much. The character's name was Cold Hands.
Right. I would have much rather had the scenes with him, and maybe even if you wanted to have some sort of action with Bran to keep that kind of level of excitement going, had cold hands or dead hands or whatever the hell his name was.
Cold hands.
Take care of all those skeletal zombies outside of the cave, and still had what's his name die like he did with the skeleton. But
Akon D says, so Brienne versus the Mountain eventually, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we will see that fight. That would be the, if we're dealing with a King of the Ring tournaments type situation, now we get to see Brienne.
Brienne's winning because, if you remember, Sir Loras kind of messed with the Mountain and kind of bested him a little bit when the Hound kind of came to Sir Loras's defense. She defeats Sir Loras. Now she's defeated the Hound. So you're right, with the King of the Mountain scenario, Brienne is like on top of this. She's by default. She's beat all the people that have. The Mountain's gone, taken out by a combination of Loras and the Hound way back in season 1, and she took out Loras and she's taken out the Hound. I would love to see her and Oberyn. Sorry, not Oberyn.
Oberyn.
Oberyn and her going at it would be my favorite fight to see.
Dear Hunter says, my girl Arya was awesome tonight. Yes, she was. I thought the Hound and Brienne would have been a great dynamic duo. Team up. 4 is better than 2, but I can see how the story goes in a different direction. I agree with that. Ned Stark would have kicked Jaime's ass, says Akon D. So he's on your side.
Absolutely, Akon. I agree. There was no way Jaime was winning that fight. Cocky little bitch that he is. Nope.
Akon D says Arya should have looked back when the Hound was yelling "kill me," and said I am, and kept walking. Yeah, that would have been the ultimate cool action one-liner. Where have I seen that happen before? Ned Stark would have kicked Jaime's ass. Yep, season 4. Season 4, Jaime. Yeah, thank you, dear Hunter. Yeah, exactly. Ned Stark would have kicked Jaime's ass. Yep, season 4, Jaime. I had to say the right inflection on that. Thank you. Jaime is the worst.
Wait. No. There's no season 4 Jaime, season 3 Jaime, season 2 Jaime.
4 Jaime only has one hand.
Oh, right. That's why he's saying only season 4 Jaime.
But yeah, that season 1 Jaime would have killed Ned Stark.
Wrong.
Whatever. We'll get into this different. That's a different show. Mitz Janey, I'm sorry, I completely ruined your name.
Even Robert Baratheon, the drunk fat bastard that he was, would have kicked Jaime's ass.
Okay.
Jaime's only ever killed kings from behind. Remember that.
Here is another anti-Jaime. Jaime is the worst commander ever, says Mitz Janey. He lost his sword hand. The king, his son, his nephew's dead, and the hand of the king's dead. Jaime sucks.
Agreed. Absolutely. Who said that? Because they're right. We deserve to know.
Mitch Janey is his name. I'm mispronouncing it. Mitzi Jaime or something like that. Angus Tin says two-handed Jaime would have kicked Ned's ass. He was one of the top 5 best fighters in the realm. Ned was a good lord and a great war commander, but a normal fighter, not one of the best.
No, I disagree.
Let's not get too caught up. We can debate this all we want. The scene I wished more of was Bran and the old man. So awesome. Haven't read the books, but I think I'm just going to spoil myself and start reading the books. So someone definitely liked that scene that hadn't read it in the books. Someone said recommended reading. Three-Eyed Crow is awesome and mysterious in the books. This is all Angus Tin. He's also actually a known person in Westeros. Also wanted to see more of the dragons, especially the black one, says Kevin Man 360. When Daenerys locked the other 2 up, I was so sad. I agree. That was so sad. That was ridiculous.
Very, very sad. It was very sad in the books too.
Mitz Janey.
Okay, let me ask you this: who were you more sad for? Daenerys and the dragons, or were you more sad for the poor bastard with his bones of his child laid out in front of him, charred to a crisp that he hauled across the desert to bring to this woman? Look what your dragon did to my poor son.
Him and his kid is just true. I care about animals more than I care about people, so I'm sad for the dragons.
Me too.
No, and he's
the reason I don't have kids is so they don't get burned alive by flying dragons. Come on.
That's a good point.
You got to think here.
You definitely have a point there. And with Daenerys and stuff, like I think also there's a little bit of main character disorder there that we feel worse for Daenerys because we know her more than we know this guy that lost his kid that we don't really know.
Right.
Also, really wanted to see more. We said that.
I feel like she felt worse for her dragons than she did for this kid.
Oh,
but
definitely.
she knew that it was the right thing to do, and she had to do it, so she did it.
Mitch Janey also says, didn't Ned fight and win members of defeat members of the Kingsguard to save his sister Lyanna?
Yes. But
Yes.
there was a few of them there, I think.
The black one, Drogon, is awesome. You'll love when he returns. I'm not going to get too into that, but whatever. Ned and his 6 friends fought 3 Kingsguard at the end. Everyone was dead except for one friend and Ned. And Ned was seriously hurt. Was hoping late, blah, blah, blah. Mitch Janey, yes, he did. There were 7-3.
And the guy that they fought that severely hurt Ned and killed Ned's friends there, all but one of them, who was the father of the 2 children that accompanied Bran, Jojen and the other Reed there. It was their father that was with Ned in Dorne when they went to go back to go get Ned's sister, and everybody died but that guy and Ned, and they went back.
Now this is something we failed to mention that Ren Redwood brings up. You kill Shay and then you say you're sorry. I agree with that. I think that's supposed to be a moment of Tyrion. As much as Tyrion can do the right thing, he's not really a killer. So
it wasn't all just that he's sorry that he killed her. He was sorry, I think, from the very beginning. I think that sorry was, I'm sorry I had Bronn come and drag you out of that other dude's tent. I'm sorry I dragged you to King's Landing with me. I'm sorry I white-fanged you. I'm sorry that I forced you to do the things that you had to do. You know, I think that's what it was. It wasn't necessarily I'm sorry I killed you, which was part of it, but I think it was more, I'm sorry I put you in this position to begin with. Sorry I dragged you into the Lannister fucking mess that the Lannisters are. The rock of bullshit that is Lannisport.
I also think a little bit of it. I think a little bit of it was as well that I think that was the first. I'm pretty sure that was the first person Tyrion's really killed, other than like a random dude in the Blackwater situation. I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's killed. I believe he killed during the Battle of Blackwater. But other than that, I think this is the first time he ever murdered anyone.
Right. So he's really. There's also a little bit of that.
He murders 2 people within the span of like 10 minutes. And it's debatable, again, it's debatable because she grabs the knife and lunges to attack him first, so...
So what ends up being our biggest thing from the night, Aegon D also wants to add, Jaime had more tournament training in dueling style fighting rather than Ned. Ned was in a war, so Ned.
No, but it's more. Ned was more than just in a war. If you remember, even a couple of episodes
you said at the end of that, Ned was in war. Ned would have won.
No, but it's more than just that. Ned also trained. He spent his childhood in the Vale with Robert Baratheon, being trained by Jon Arryn of the Vale, and that's how they knew. Like they grew up being trained by Jon Arryn.
But for whatever it's worth, Aiden Hodge also says, Aegon D into Joe, Jaime also had war training. He defeated the Smiling Knight before he ever became a knight. So Jaime also has proven that even before training, becoming a knight, he had some interesting prowess. I think the fairest thing to say about all this is what makes Game of Thrones so fucking awesome. The fact that we're still talking and people still debate this moment from season 1 that George R. R. Martin fucked us all. He trolled us all here by never giving us the answer to this question.
Question, right? By having that spearman step up and drive it through his leg was just.
Yeah, he totally screwed us all over and made it so we all wouldn't actually have an answer. He trolled us all. So those are basically all our questions. We have a couple other questions I wanted to touch from last week. Someone wanted to know if we had any curiosity where Jorah was going afterwards. Do we think he'd go to the Wall, serve with Stannis? The only thing I can say about that was I'd assume that someone like Jorah, because of his feelings for Daenerys, doesn't want to go too far away from where Daenerys is.
Yeah, I also think that if he knows who Stannis is, and this is someone who ran away rather than serving his sentence as a slave trader, and then didn't follow the orders of his brother to kill Daenerys in the first place, who's going to challenge him for his throne. You know, Stannis isn't bound to forgive Jorah that easily without torturing him. And Jorah's always seemed to be pretty self-serving when it comes down to it. He got into the slave trade to keep a woman. He betrayed Robert Baratheon to win a woman or to win a girl. He lied to that girl to continue to try to win her. He's like, for everybody who's pretty sad about what's up with Jorah, he's a slimy little bastard. Like
He's one of those type of guys that like has that like pretends to be a good guy but really has so many skeletons in his closet. Like
right. Like he's not like he's trying his hardest to be the good that he sees in Daenerys because he does love her, but ultimately this is only to win her, to be with her, and not necessarily because that's who he is. Because when he had this feeling for another woman, what he did to keep her was to sell people into slavery.
Yeah,
like Jorah is very much a chameleon. He's ready to change his skin to suit whatever his need is, to whatever woman he wants at the moment.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that doesn't have a personality of his own. He just
right, and that wasn't even his first wife that he was slave trading for. That was his second wife, and I think he left his first wife for her. Now I don't know. Someone's going to correct me on that, and I'm not sure of the circumstances, but I know that it was his second wife, and then Daenerys would be his third woman that he's been someone completely different for. So I'm standing by my Jorah. You're a slimy fuck. Glad you got kicked out of Meereen.
Well, thank you very much to Juliana Gomez for that question. And everybody, I think we should wrap it up here. And it's been a really awesome year talking about Game of Thrones. We're going to definitely stretch this out and have over the next couple weeks and months over the summer, have a lot more Game of Thrones discussions and keep it going through the off season, and do lots more shows as we're coming up in September and the new TV year starts. But before we go, we need to say a couple of big thank yous to some of the people. And if I don't mention your name right now or don't say something, it isn't because I don't appreciate you. It just means that I copied a bunch of names of people that have been really awesome in helping to build the community and talk about the episodes. Daniel,
take your time to say them. Don't try to say them like you do the 50 states.
Daniel Bruley, John McD, Vanessa, Ren Renwood, Mason Adams, there's a shout out for you, Benjamin Vargas, it's huge, Michelle Ferreal, Black Commerce, Chris Hatton, Brendan Davis, Steve Fiven, Steve the Dude, Bobby W223, Anastasia, PlayStation Zone, Justin Street, Dooku Heroes Video, Herman Munster, Anime Wilson, Natsatsu721, Jeffrey Trotter, Lawless, one of our first listeners way back when with the Breaking Bad stuff. Lawless, thank you for all your support. Lucius Fox, Michelle L., Sam Sheath, Sweet Lady Tiger, Marcella Pompey, Rachel Wagner, the scientist with an X at the end, this Sir I Can Life, or whatever it is. I'm sorry, that horrible mispronunciation. John Smith, I could go on. Renwood, as I mentioned before. Michelle Byfield, I'm Clueless. Renwood, by the way, amazing. Your comment more than anybody. You win our extra big hug award. Elon Teku, Carolee McDonald, Darth Sandwich, Mariah Sinclair, Ferris Famey, Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother stuff. But guys, I could go on. I have like 4 more pages of people's names I could say. If I forgot you, I'm really sorry. Or if I didn't mention your name, it really just means I don't care about you. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't mean that.
Absolutely. Thank everybody so much.
Thank everybody so much. It's been a really awesome year to talk about Game of Thrones, and we can't wait to come back next year and talk about more Game of Thrones and maybe get some of the old seasons done and do a couple of episodes here and there and get a little bit of more open-ended discussion. So keep an eye out for this page, and please check out issuesprogram.com. Comment away. Send me an email at igotissuesman@gmail.com. You can also leave voicemails and text at 781-990-8509. You can follow Joe at Dirty Locks, and you can follow me at igotissuesman, and send us messages. Follow us on Facebook at the Issues Program. All that stuff. Get all that crap out of the way. Join us on iTunes, on Stitcher, wherever your podcasting thing, if you want to listen to stuff. So we're going to be all over the place. Again, one last time, thank you everybody for all the comments, all the likes, all the dislikes, all the corrections, all everything. I said this a lot, but I can't say it enough. It makes it all more fun watching all these episodes, to watch it with all of you guys. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you guys soon.
And for all of you Walking Dead fans out there, there's going to be a lot of footage coming up on the website coming out soon. Extra footage from the Walker Stalker Con. and look for more episodes from The Walking Dead this September.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.